he's not very intelligent and undoubtedly remains damaged by the early death of his mother, Diana. And he very foolishly blames the media for her, in his words, which is complete nonsense. But I think he loved the adulation. He loved it when he was being praised, especially when he was a soldier. But then he became criticized, firstly because he became drunk in public.
The whole description she does of the Portland hospital, the birth, that was completely fabricated. We all know.
Harry and Meghan Markle's surrogacy scandal has entered the mainstream media domain.
Tom, do you think Harry and Meghan are fast learning what they signed away when they took this Netflix big moolah? And I would say they signed away their credibility and their dignity.
Well, that's our view, but it's not theirs. They need the money, and they need it now more than ever because they've got no other source of income. So I think they're just stuck with the devil now. They're tied to Netflix, they're tied to their book, and all the criticism they're going to take means nothing because that's the only way they can earn their money.
But if she hasn't had the children herself or Harry hadn't been involved, then they can't be in the royal line. They have to have royal blood, those little ones. Without that, there's no chance of them becoming a member of the royal family.
No, I choose people who don't want to be written about on the whole, whose lives are shrouded in mystery and they want to hide their secrets. And I just love digging away to find out what they don't want us to know.
People think her kids are fake. They think they're AI.
Absolutely. What we're really now seeing is that both of them, having posed as the victim for so long, are really the aggressors.
Had you hoped your children, Archie and Lilibet, would have had that you think they won't be able to now with this decision?
Well, for a start, the only time that I've come back to the UK is sadly for funerals or court cases.
In this case, about whether you think the birth was real, whether you think there was a surrogate, whether you think Meghan was wearing a moon bump, the fact is Harry and Meghan lied. Buckingham Palace lied on their behalf. There was a complete cover-up over the birth of Prince Archie.
Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, is marking her daughter Lilibet's 4th birthday by sharing some personal photographs. A rare sighting of a little girl seen in this picture with her father, Prince Harry, and now her mom. The child's face is partially covered as the royal couple is known to fiercely guard the privacy of their 2 children. On Instagram, Meghan wrote, "Happy birthday to our beautiful girl. 4 years ago today, she came into our lives, and the day is brighter and better because of it."
It was a dreadful thing to do and actually completely wrong. He is quite hard and harsh.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle thought they could shield their kids from the spotlight, but now that plan looks like it's falling apart fast. Explosive claims from Tom Bower have reignited non-stop speculation about Archie and Lilibet, sending questions about lineage and transparency spiraling out of control.
That has always been her motive. She's money obsessed and always has been. And that is why she married Prince Harry. Her great surprise and disappointment was to discover that Prince Harry had very little money. She imagined he'd be worth hundreds of millions, if not billions. And she's having to make up for it now.
I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the UK at this point. And the things that they're going to miss is, well, everything. You know, I love my country. I always have done, despite what some people in that country have done. So, you know, I miss the UK. I miss parts of the UK. Of course I do.
Conversation, I'm told and I believe, was very early on in their relationship when Harry is bowled over by Meghan, is desperately in love, and already is talking about marriage. But long before their engagement is even announced, let alone they're married and she's pregnant. And he's sitting in Clarence House with then Prince Charles and Camilla. And Camilla just laughingly says, well, any child you'll have will probably have brown skin and ginger hair.
The Queen and the Duke.
Yes, and we just bumped into the Duke as we were walking by, which was so nice. So it'll be a nice moment to introduce the baby to more family, and my mom's with us as well. So it's been a really, here we go.
another great grandchild.
From total palace silence to loud online demands for answers, the pressure is boiling over. This isn't quiet chatter anymore. It's a full-blown royal mess that refuses to stay buried. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are once again at the center of attention, and this time it's not about palace drama or streaming deals. The focus has shifted straight to their children after Tom Bower dropped what many are calling his most controversial claims yet.
And that's why I think, I think Tina is a great journalist, and perhaps she has inside information. I don't see how the Sussexes can give up both the Netflix and the book deal. They won't be living in a Montecito cottage. They're more likely living somewhere in downtown LA, in a little hovel. That's their problem. They're stuck now. But, the truth is about them. Then he wore a Nazi uniform at a party. Then he was wearing absolutely nothing in the nude at the party in Las Vegas. And he couldn't cope with the criticism because, in his view, he is a target. And it didn't help that his telephones were hacked by News International, Rupert Murdoch's group here in London.
He raised explosive questions that supporters say deserve clarification, not dismissal. While no facts have been proven, online sleuths point to timelines, public records, and inconsistencies they believe were never fully explained. The couple who vowed to protect their children's privacy now face the reality that those same children are being dragged into the loudest controversy of their lives. This isn't about royal rules anymore. The question people keep asking is blunt and uncomfortable. Why does so much feel unclear? For any normal family, even asking would feel wrong. But when every public move feels controlled, curated, and monetized, suspicion hits harder.
That she never intended to go to the Portland hospital. She intended to have the baby at home. We know that they deceived the public about the birth data and time of the whole event. So, and also, even it goes down to the lawyer saying that in that statement, when they had that long attack on the Mail, which is astonishing, that Meghan, we know she lied in her statement.
Tom Bower suggests that deeply personal decisions may have been handled with extreme secrecy. In royal terms, transparency around lineage matters, not for gossip, but for constitutional reasons.
It's living a life that she's winning and she's doing all these great things, but the reality is not that. The reality is
If questions remain unanswered, it doesn't just affect reputations, it shakes trust. And then there's Prince Harry, once the fun, cheeky royal, now reduced to tabloid punchlines and viral memes. Reports out of Montecito paint a tense picture, pacing, snapping, glued to headlines, clearly under pressure from non-stop speculation. The irony stings. The same man who spoke openly about mental health now looks publicly overwhelmed, and honestly, it's rough to watch.
I choose people who don't want to be written about, on the whole, whose lives are shrouded in mystery, and they want to hide their secrets, and I just love digging away to find out what they don't want us to know. I wrote 4 years ago a book about Prince Charles, and it was a story about how he had rehabilitated himself after Diana's death, and how Camilla also had to be rehabilitated, and it was a #1. It was a fascinating story. So when Meghan came along into the scene, I just thought, this is fascinating. How is this going to play out? To tell the truth, I spoke to very few friends of Meghan because she put a fatwa on anyone talking to me who she could. So I sent off dozens and dozens of emails to her friends, and most of them didn't even reply. And obviously I spoke to her father, who loves her still very much, and said, in the end, whatever she is, she's still my daughter. You can't beat the real story. I mean, that's the excitement of writing these sort of books, that in the end, nothing beats the truth, the real fact.
Meanwhile, Meghan Markle is reportedly handling things her own way. Controlled, strategic, and ice cold. No emotional displays, just legal teams, cease and desist letters, and total silence. But the harder the shutdown, the louder the noise gets. It's like trying to smother sparks with gasoline. People dig deeper, connect dots, and flag moments that once seemed harmless. Suddenly, old moments get re-examined. Carefully staged pregnancy photos, vague timelines, limited medical details, announcements that felt polished instead of personal.
Something like that. So she wasn't even pregnant. So it's very weird. And Harry, it was said to Harry, not to her. I mean, she just came in.
When everything looks produced, people start asking what they're not supposed to see. Critics say the couple had years to clear up confusion, but chose secrecy instead. Now that secrecy is backfiring hard. The royal escape story they carefully crafted is cracking under its own weight. And whether you believe Tom Bower or not, one thing is undeniable. Silence isn't calming the storm, it's amplifying it. Another major red flag people point to is the distance between Archie, Lilibet, and the wider royal family.
Well, that's our view, but it's not theirs. They need the money, and they need it now more than ever because they've got no other source of income. So I think they're just stuck with the devil now. They're tied to Netflix, they're tied to their book, and all the criticism they're going to take means nothing because that's the only way they can earn their money.
Compare that to the countless documented moments between other royal children and senior family members. The contrast is impossible to ignore. There are no widely shared public moments, no visible family connections, no casual warmth people expect from a royal household. That raises uncomfortable questions. Coincidence, choice, or something else entirely? This isn't harmless gossip. These conversations carry real weight. If personal medical decisions were made privately, that alone isn't scandalous.
Well, look, Radar Online, in fairness, they do quote you and say Royal Author Lady Colin Campbell recently challenged the conspiracy of silence and misinformation surrounding both Tom.
But if public representations don't align with reality, the consequences ripple outward. The monarchy survives on stability and trust. When questions about transparency linger, the institution itself feels the tremors. This isn't just about Harry and Meghan. It's about what happens when clarity disappears. And finally, there's Tom Bower himself. He's not some random internet voice chasing clicks. He has a long history of uncovering uncomfortable truths about powerful figures. That's why people pay attention when he speaks. The unsettling part, many of his past claims were dismissed until they weren't.
Meghan is using everything for publicity and not really truly there. We know how she treats her family and friends.
So when he raises questions this explosive, the world listens, whether the palace likes it or not. He struck a match under what many are calling the most volatile royal controversy yet. If this gains real momentum, it wouldn't just dent reputations. It could permanently rewrite how Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are remembered in royal history.
You have extraordinary reporting in your book on what this was likely based on and how it doesn't match up to what Meghan said. Here's the clip, SOT 6, from the Oprah interview.
But what's making everything worse is the silence. Through all the noise, the headlines, and the speculation, not a single public response. No clarification, no direct denial, no visible effort to shut it down. Just silence. And silence doesn't cool chaos, it feeds it. People keep asking the same blunt question. If there's nothing to clear up, why let the story grow legs? Every day that passes without a response, the speculation gets louder, messier, and harder to contain. Now the pressure is impossible to ignore. What started as niche online chatter has exploded into trending hashtags, panel debates, and non-stop breakdowns of photos, timelines, and public appearances. The scrutiny has gone full mainstream. Social media is flooded with one repeating theme. Something isn't adding up. Fair or not, that's the perception spreading fast. And every refusal to engage only throws gasoline on the fire.
Well, of course, that was brilliant of you to bring that clip up because the body language just showed her discomfort as she dug deeper into her own hole. I mean, the truth is this, that there are two truths. The first truth is that the conversation, I'm told and I believe, was very early on in their relationship when Harry is bowled over by Meghan, is desperately in love, and already is talking about marriage.
From a PR standpoint, this isn't just messy, it's catastrophic.
How would your mom feel about your relationship with your brother now?
I think she would be sad. I think she'd be looking at it long term.
to know that there are certain things that we need to go through to be able to heal the relationship. I have felt the presence of my mum more so in the last 2 years than I have in the last 30.
The Sussex image was built around stability, warmth, and the idea of a carefully protected family life. Montecito sunshine, polished interviews, and controlled storytelling sold calm and authenticity.
For the time being, it's impossible for me to take my family back to the UK safely.
You're obviously very deeply affected by this. What memories, experiences had you hoped your children, Archie and Lilibet, would have had that you think they won't be able to now with this decision?
Now that image is cracking. These aren't surface-level flaws, they're deep fractures. No glossy photo or scripted appearance can patch over questions this big. For Harry, this cuts deeper than any headline. Fatherhood has always been his emotional anchor. He's framed it as his purpose, his healing, and the reason behind every major decision since stepping away from royal life. From interviews to documentaries, he's said it repeatedly.
This crisis won't die down until the irrefutable truth comes out.
Being a dad grounded him, saved him, gave his life meaning. That's why critics targeting this narrative hit so hard. This isn't just about optics. It strikes at identity. And for a man forever linked to public trauma and survival, being reframed this way is a brutal, deeply personal blow. Either he's a passive figure being pulled along by Meghan's strategy, or he's an active participant in what critics describe as a high-level deception.
Thank you.
Second time, go. Bidding for the cameras, aren't you? You're really bidding for the cameras. Yeah. Sorry. Wait.
Neither version works in his favor. One makes him look weak and out of control. The other paints him as calculating and complicit. And both versions leave him powerless. A man unable to control the narrative around his own family. Insiders from Montecito describe the atmosphere inside the house as dark and tense. Harry is said to be spiraling into obsession, glued to headlines, gossip columns, and YouTube breakdowns. Every photo of his children, every pregnancy timeline, every claim gets dissected, and he's watching it all unfold in real time. Friends say the pressure is showing. Pacing rooms, snapping at staff, barely sleeping, fixating on theories and criticism. The anxiety, they say, is written all over him.
What about the security arrangements that were in place made you feel it would be unsafe for you and your family?
There's only so much that I can say because of the redaction process and the national security matters at hand, but everything. Because in beginning of 2020, I was scored the highest as far as risk was concerned. And then overnight, I was reduced to the lowest without actually going through the risk management board.
And that's where the irony cuts deepest. Harry built a public identity as a mental health advocate, someone urging openness and healing. Now he appears trapped in the very cycle he once warned others about.
What I discovered was, of course, that she was hunting for a man in England from 2013 onwards, when her marriage had crashed and she couldn't find anyone in Canada at the time. And she wanted wealth and she wanted fame. And she targeted, there's no doubt she targeted Harry.
Meghan, meanwhile, is reportedly taking a colder, more tactical route. Lawyers are involved. Cease and desist letters are flying. Legal pressure is being applied behind the scenes. But instead of calming things down, those moves seem to raise more suspicion. People keep asking the same question. If there's nothing to hide, why respond with threats instead of clarity? Each legal step fuels more doubt, not less. Then there's the palace, and the silence there feels deliberate. No public statements from King Charles, no visible family moments, no warm images of Archie and Lilibet with senior royals, not even the routine gestures that usually come automatically. Compare that to the constant public presence of Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, with their children. The contrast is stark, and people are noticing.
And that's why I think, I think Tina is a great journalist, and perhaps she has inside information. I don't see how the Sussexes can give up both the Netflix and the book deal. They won't be living in a Montecito cottage, be more likely living somewhere in downtown LA.
A theory gaining traction suggests this distance isn't punishment, but protection. The idea is that the monarchy may have been keeping space deliberately, shielding itself from a controversy it feared could eventually erupt. If that's true, the palace may now be waiting, letting Harry and Meghan decide whether to clarify the story or let it collapse under pressure.
He became hypersensitive and blamed the media for the crashes of his relationship.
At that point, this stops being tabloid noise. It becomes a constitutional concern. If doubts exist at the highest level, the issue shifts from speculation to institutional risk. This has moved beyond curiosity. Mainstream media, veteran journalists, and even longtime royal supporters are now asking the same uncomfortable question.
And already is talking about marriage, but long before their engagement is even announced, let alone they're married and she's pregnant. And he's sitting in Clarence's house with then Prince Charles and Camilla. And Camilla just laughingly says, well, any child you'll have will probably have brown skin and ginger hair. And they all laugh, including Harry. I mean, it's not because of racism. It's just one of those things everybody imagines. When somebody is pregnant close to you, you wonder what the child will look like. But it was not said as anything other than that.
Will Harry and Meghan agree to provide clarity? The fact that such a question is circulating at all shows how far this has gone. What's most damaging is how preventable this was. They had multiple chances to address confusion early, clear explanations, transparent records, straight answers. Instead, the response became silence, deflection, or legal maneuvering. Now that silence doesn't look dignified, it looks defensive, and the damage may already be lasting. Harry, once seen as the resilient, rebellious prince, now appears increasingly isolated. Even former friends from his military days, people who once stood firmly in his corner, are said to be quietly stepping back.
With either Archie or Lily, and it needs to happen. They need to prove that those children, Meghan and Harry, are not entitled to privacy in this matter. And their privacy is trumped by our right to know that no bastard is going to sit on the throne of this country. All Harry and Meghan need to do is prove to us that she popped those babies out. And that's all they need to do. And if they don't, it is unfair on the children. It's also unfair on the royal family.
Sources close to him describe Harry as increasingly unpredictable. One moment angry and reactive, the next withdrawn and silent. People around him quietly say he seems lost, not just as a royal, but as a man. And now even fatherhood, the one role he clung to as his redemption, is being questioned. If that foundation cracks, critics ask, what does he have left to stand on? Meghan, meanwhile, hasn't unraveled the same way. She's responding with control, strategy, and distance. Reports say her legal team is sending out non-stop letters, warning media outlets and demanding takedowns. But legal pressure doesn't erase moral suspicion. In many cases, it sharpens it.
Why lie? It was just so truly, truly bizarre.
People remember the polished Netflix documentaries, the carefully staged photos, the speeches about truth, healing, and breaking cycles. So when that same couple refuses transparency on something as fundamental as their family story, the contradiction stands out. It makes critics feel like they were sold a brand, not honesty. And through all of this, the royal family remains silent. No senior royal stepping forward. No public support. No quiet reassurance. The institution appears to have stepped back entirely, leaving Harry and Meghan alone in the fallout. Insiders claim King Charles was advised to keep his distance. Even a small gesture of support could backfire if the rumors prove damaging. That silence speaks volumes, and not in the way the Sussexes likely hoped. Behind closed doors, whispers of contingency planning are growing louder. Discussions reportedly involve succession issues, legal exposure, and political risk. Questions once unthinkable are now being asked privately.
This scandal comes as no surprise. Speculation about the children has been simmering for years.
If Archie and Lilibet's circumstances don't align with royal norms, what happens to titles? What about their place in the line of succession? No answers are being given, but the fact these conversations exist at all shows how serious this has become. What's clear is this: the Sussex fairy tale is unraveling. The story of a brave prince and a modern duchess starting fresh is collapsing under secrecy. The more clarity is avoided, the heavier the consequences become. In the end, it may come down to one choice. Address the questions directly or continue with silence. One option could restore credibility. The other ensures the suspicion never fully fades, because questions about lineage don't disappear. They linger, and they shape history. So now the spotlight turns to you. Is Harry a victim trapped in a situation he can't control, or an active participant in a story that's spinning out of control? And most of all, what do you think should happen next? Drop your thoughts below, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.